Okay, so back in the 1990s, I'm 29 years old, but back in the 1990s, we had VHS tapes. VHS tapes were this thick. They were thick, and then we had VCR players, which you put it in, and they're very different from DVDs. DVDs are like round circles, and they can break easy. They're like CDs. You're playing. You put the CD in the MP3 player, and like the headphone set. But this is VHS tapes were hard to break, and I love VHS tapes. Um, if you're gonna record, if you're gonna if you're gonna copycat a movie, like we'll say if you're gonna that you if you want to record a movie, you have to put a VHS tape, a VHS player on top of another VHS player to copy the movie. A lot of people did this in the 90s. I used to do it in the 90s. I remember if I go to Blockbuster, I get a couple movies when I was like 8 years old. This is like in 1995, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. We put VHS tapes on top of another. We put we put VCR players on top of another VCR player, and then we'll get a blank. We'll put the Blockbuster tape in on the bottom. On the top, we put a blank VHS tape inside, and I would. That's how people would. That's how people would kind of. It's not stealing, but it's how people would kind of like. It's kind of like downloading. I would kind of like download the VHS tape, to the blank tape. But the VHS tapes, the worst thing about them is that it can break easily. If you pull out the string, there's a string. If you pull it out, that happened multiple times. I would have to play. I accidentally pulled it out when I was like 7 years old. I had to pay $50 for the tape because I accidentally broke it. I was just curious. Sometimes when you're the worst thing about back in the 1990s, the worst thing about VCR tapes is that sometimes if you keep rewinding it back, if you keep playing this tape over and over again, it can break. Or sometimes it gets fuzzy. There's a lot of so it has moments. When DVDs came around 97, 98, I was pretty happy. I got my first DVD player in 2001 when I was 11, so it was very amazing. And then the good thing about DVD players is that it has special features. But I just want to shout out that the 1990s was a very amazing year. That decade was a very amazing. I grew up in it. I remember 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. But I remember the 90s perfectly. Star Wars being very popular. You had the Star Wars, you had the Space Jam with Michael Jordan. I remember that people all over the world. Good Burr. I saw the movie about 10 times. But I remember VHS tapes perfectly. They were very thick and they're very hard to break. Unlike DVD players, DVDs are very easy to break.